I am waiting to see if I am live, which I should be, but sometimes it takes a minute. So that's why I'm on a minute early, and we'll get started right at 8 o'clock or as soon as I notice that it's 8 o'clock. So bear with me here if I am live and you're watching live, although it doesn't look like anyone is yet. So let me just double check on my end that we are live. I think we are, so I'm going to go ahead and just hope for the best, because I'm not sure there's a way for me to check. Let me see. I might be able to check on my phone real quickly. Yeah, it looks like I'm live. Okay, good. So welcome to my catalog launch party for the May to August, and hopefully it's not showing backwards for you. Sorry if the words are backwards, but the May to August 2026 catalog. And so tonight I'm going to spend about the next hour with you going through the new catalog. It's a different format than we've had before, and so I think it'll be helpful to walk through it together even more than usual. I'm going to show you several projects using the new product, and some of which is not even in this catalog. So we'll talk about that, and then there'll be prizes at the end. So definitely stay till the end, or make sure if you have to fast forward through something, get to the end one way or another. But hopefully it will feel quick and enjoyable to get there, because it's all interesting things. If you're into crafting or creativity or just connecting with others, gifting others, I think there's so many entry points to this. You don't have to be creative. You don't have to be artistic, even though we all, I think, have that creativity in us as humans. But there is something for everyone here. So let me go ahead and silence notifications, because I just got one. You probably heard it. But I do want to watch comments, and sometimes it lets me see them and sometimes it doesn't. So you know what? I'm realizing I did this the wrong way. I mean, it's not wrong, but it's not ideal. I meant to do this just directly through YouTube where I could see comments, and instead I did it the way that I normally do to be able to share my screen, which I won't be doing tonight. I could have. I could have had some things queued up that would have been helpful, but I didn't think of that, because I just assumed I was going to be doing it through YouTube. And then when I signed in a minute ago, I signed in through the different way. So I might not be able to see your chat live. I do have a place here where it says I can see comments. So we'll see. If I don't catch them live, I'll catch them afterwards. I see someone's watching live. So please comment who you are and where you're watching from, whether you're watching live or on replay. And I promise I will get to those comments, if not live, if they don't show up for me. So one way or another, we can connect, because that is why I do this, to be able to connect with people through creativity. So let's get started. As you can already tell, if you follow Stampin' Up and have followed the catalogs over recent years, usually they're this direction. So this is a new format, like I said, and it's more than just the orientation. You might also notice that normally we get an annual catalog in May, so it would have been May to April 2027. But again, this is May to August 2026. So now instead of having overlapping catalogs, one annual catalog with two minis, both at the beginning and end of the year, we're just going to have one catalog at a time. So we'll have a catalog for every 4 months. So 3 catalogs a year, January to April, which just ended yesterday, May to August, which just started today, and then we'll have September to December, which a lot of us call the holiday catalog, because it ends up being a lot about the holidays. But if you open up right to page 2, you see one of the things that most people get very excited about with the new catalog, and that is the new in colors. And these will still just come out every May, and they'll come out for 2 years. So these are the 2026 to 2028 in colors. I did think about that, because I can't believe it's 2026, even though we're almost halfway through. Oh my gosh. But this page shows more than just the new in colors. It shows some new product. So you will notice that things show up in multiple places in this catalog. So that way, like, you can have the place you go to reference everything and see it as large as possible, but it will show up throughout. And usually it will show up with just quick mention and then the page number for the main location to find it. So here you can see these shimmer brushes, which come in the new in colors, and they're like colored Wink of Stella. If you like the Wink of Stella kind of silver shimmer brush, now we have them in colors, which I particularly love, because the in colors is the full color spectrum. You have a blue, which is called Hydrangea Hue. You have a green, which is called Peaceful Pine. You have a yellow, which is called Golden Glow. So you can get gold Wink of Stella now, essentially. You have Crisp Cantaloupe, which is your orange. And then down here, you have Barely Blush, which is your pink. So you end up with one of every like color of the rainbow in the shimmer brushes. We also see here the new in color stamp pads, although I'm going to come back to that. Another new stamp pad I'll come back to. an embossing folder, which we'll see later, and dies that we'll see later. So I'm going to wait on all those things, but I didn't want to wait on you seeing the in colors if you hadn't already seen them in other people's sneak peeks. All right, page 4 is your table of contents. So this is really helpful for navigating the catalog. I also always love to read Sarah's note. She's our CEO and, like, I don't know, a personal hero of mine. And so you have not only like the different sections of the catalog with page numbers here, but then some icons to pay attention to that'll help you navigate throughout. Then there's a whole new section that goes from page 5 to 7, and it's called Stampin' Snippets. And I'm not going to focus on anything on this first page, although there's good stuff there. But on the middle page, page 6, I wanted to highlight the product of the month. If you don't already know, this is an exclusive product that comes out once a month at the beginning of the month. So we just got a new one today. And it's just $5 if you've spent $75 before shipping and tax on your order. I'm pulling up some notes about today's release. But again, just an additional $5 once you reach that order threshold of $75 before shipping and tax. And they're really great products. So we've had designer series paper, we've had stamp sets, we've had last month we had a background die, and this month we have the Berry Botanical Vellum specialty designer series paper. So vellum is that translucent paper, but this is colored, and in fact it's very boldly colored. So I'm very curious to see it. It will be see-through, but it'll have really vibrant color as well. There's some background patterns and some designs, kind of 2 of each, even though there's 4 unique designs, but 2 are kind of more background patterns and 2 are more bold, I guess, like focal point patterns. So check that out on stampinup.com, and you can see the other products of the month that are still available there, because they're only available while supplies last. But if they don't sell out one month, they'll carry over to the next. So like I think when I checked today, we still had March, April, and now May's online exclusive, or sorry, product of the month there. Online exclusives is a different category, which we'll talk more about later. But let's see, everything you can find online. So this talks about that. And then on page 7, I wanted to highlight that we don't want to forget Paper Pumpkin, which is also something that you get online, and that's the subscription kit that comes out once a month that always has to do with the current season or occasions. So like April's was kind of a preparing for Father's Day, and other just more traditionally masculine or gender neutral projects. It actually coordinated with one of the suites in this catalog, which we're not going to spend much time on because I don't have a sample to show you. But the Waterside Retreat Suite coordinated with the April Paper Pumpkin, which was called Lakeside Retreat. I have it in front of me. Is that what it's called? I can't see the side with the name on it. Where are you? Oh, weird. Oh, there it is. Lakeside Retreat. Yes. Okay. So May's is called Sparkling Celebrations. And if you like the movie Tangled or Rapunzel, there is a set of cards in there for you. So it's 3 designs, 3 each of each design. And one is like the Lantern Festival. And then I think there's going to be another one that's going to be fireworks. I don't remember what the third one is. If we've seen a sneak peek, it's always a little bit of a surprise, Paper Pumpkin. So that's one of the benefits. And we also get to hear from Shelly, our co-founder of Stampin' Up here. So not just Sarah, our CEO, who's her daughter, but the original Stampin' Up leader. So anyway, so those are some of the snippets. But now let's get into the different sections of the catalog. So the first section is called Step by Step. And this is, it says some benefits down here, like portable and convenient, simple instructions, easy to share. So it's not just for beginners, but if you are beginning, this is a good place to start. So just like we have Paper Pumpkin kits that come out once a month that you can subscribe to or prepay for, we have the kits collection. And unlike Paper Pumpkin, these are not a surprise. You can go online and you can see all of these. This was one of the ones that released today, which is called Serene Scenes. I really love this. Again, it's very gender neutral. It has a Father's Day sentiment. And then Pretty Party was another one that was released today. This is one that was released previously, and there'll be more. So again, you check stampinup.com to see all of those. It also shows you here the scrapbook workshop kits. There are 3 in this catalog that coordinate with 3 of the suites. So the Heirloom Boutique, Life in Bloom, and Extraordinary Life scrapbooking workshop kits. So kits just make everything really quick and easy if you want to use the instructions, or you can go outside the box and do your own thing with it. The next section is Quick and Easy. That's the name of it. So it is also that way. And I really like the way they formatted this time, because they kind of made this formula. So you want to start with a few crafting must-haves, like a way to cut your paper, a way to adhere paper together, and maybe some other things there too. Don't forget envelopes if you're making cards. And then you might want to add mix and match, which are these either ephemera packs that have die cut and sticker images, or there's even some that are words and sentiments. Or you might want to use stamps to stamp your sentiments or images. And you might think these are so small, it's hard to see. It is, but that's because this is just a preview. So it says here what page numbers you can find these products on, and that's their main place to be found, which is probably in their indexes in the back, and you can see them much bigger. Of course, you can also see things biggest on StampinUp.com. You're going to hear me mention StampinUp.com a lot. The catalog is great to be able to see hard copy and have things organized in inspiring ways, but everything is on the online store. So that's really the full catalog, so to speak. And then you might want to finish your project with some embellishments. And so it just has some examples down here, but we're going to see the whole page of new and returning embellishments. Well, I should say all the new, some of the returning. Again, there's more returning and carryover products. So if you don't see something in this catalog that you love, like maybe even some of those basic tools, they did include some in here, but not everything is in here. Again, everything is in the online store. All right, so the other page spread of the quick and easy section just shows some more product and some projects using it. Because again, this is more than just a catalog to shop. It's an inspiration book. You get to see projects and things like that, so you know what to maybe create with the product you get. But page 13 also gives you some of these templates. So these first couple would be for scrapbook layouts. Then you have some card layouts, and you even have some tag layouts. And this QR code will take you to more free templates. And so you don't have to, again, be on your own figuring out how to put these things together if you don't have that confidence yet. Or maybe, you just don't have the time or the energy. Like I still sometimes like to just be told how to do something when it comes to crafting and maybe some other things in life too sometimes. All right. And then the third section of the catalog, which is the largest, is the Creativity Your Way section. And so this, as it says here, is for really, embracing trending design, expressing creativity, having all the coordinated products. It's more like a la carte shopping, but it is coordinated. So it's not like walking through a craft store and having to figure out like what colors go with what themes go with what. And the main way that they've done that coordination for you is in the suites. So there's non-suite product in this section too, but it starts with the suites. And I love this like table of contents for the suites that they've done for us this time. So this page shows us the 7 suites that are going to be at the front of this section. And we'll go through most of them here because I have projects to show you for most of them. So the first one is called Bloom Boutique. And again, it's just showing you small images of all the product in the suite, because you can find these things as, are listed with their page numbers here in their main section in the indexes in the back. Here you can see some project ideas. And behind the colors that are listed as like the main colors for this suite, by the way, this suite has gold. Don't miss that because I did it first. It's in the DSP. But the picture behind the colors is one of the inspiration pictures for this suite. So not only does it share a trend here that inspired this suite, but it shows you a photo that inspired this suite. So like if you were to create a mood board before you created this suite, which I do think the artists at Stampin' Up do sometimes, like this image might have been on there and this trend might have been on there. So that's kind of neat to get to see that behind the scenes and that inspiration. All right, so let me show you what I have for this. This was made by my friend Lynn Hunt Phones. It's a beautiful fun fold, which she is known for. And this uses the designer series paper from this suite. Maybe other things too, but mainly it's showcasing the Bloom Boutique specialty designer series paper. Again, it's specialty because maybe you can see there's a little bit of gold foil shining in the center of some of those flowers. Hard to see on camera, but beautiful. And another thing I want to point out on this is this embellishment, these little flowers, which have more detail than you can probably see on camera. They have little lines in them that create some texture. And then this is from, oh gosh, what's the name? It's like Frames and something. We'll see it later. And I'll make sure to mention it when we find it in the catalog. But hopefully you can see this is one of the impressions dies. So you run it through the Stampin' Die Cut and Emboss machine once to cut out the paper, the edge, and then you run it through again with a special impressions plate, which we'll also see later in the catalog, and it embosses it and creates this texture. So that's one of 2 bundles that has that impression die in it. So really great to see. Thank you, Lynn. again, it's much more impressive in person. So you got to get and check it out. So again, I'm going to skip Waterside Retreat because I don't have a sample to show you, but I really love this suite. Again, more traditionally masculine or gender neutral and just nature themed, which I love. Another nature themed suite, which I think could be gender neutral in parts. It's a lot of florals, which can be more traditionally feminine if you wanted to use those pieces. But this is the Valley in Bloom suite. And again, here you can see some projects made with this. An inspiration photo behind the colors again. And I have several projects to show you here. So I was with my friend Lisa Yamamoto this weekend. She very generously included me in her craft class, and we made a couple projects with products from this suite. So here is one. This uses the Lily of the Valley stamp set and one of the dies from that bundle as well. This again uses a stamp set, but really showcases the dies, and hopefully you can see the dimension on that card. But beautiful little flowers. And one tip on this is one die. So rather than die cut this in green cardstock for your stem and then die cut all these little white flowers and add them on, which you could, it would just take a lot more time and effort. Just die cut it in white and then use a coloring tool like a Stampin' Blend like we did and color the stem green. So little tip. She also has an embossing folder. I don't know if you can see the texture on the background there. There it is. Not a new embossing folder, but lovely texture there. And then this very, very special card was made by my friend Barbara Dykhouse. And this uses maybe everything from the suite. I know it uses the shimmering dots. Hopefully you can see their whites. They're a little harder to see. They come in different colors, but this card had the white. It uses the Valley in Bloom DSP, and this is actually my favorite sheet of that DSP. It has like this kind of white space in the middle, but then it has the flowers all around the edge, so great for scrapbooking as well as card making. And I think this has an inside. Yeah, isn't that lovely? And she went all out because she did fussy cut all these little white flowers and add them on and even color them. You can see some subtle color on there. Lots of layers and texture, just beautiful. All right, so that's the Valley in Bloom suite. Next, we have maybe my favorite suite. I don't know. It's between Waterside Retreat and Scenic Coast. Can you tell that I'm a beach person, a water person? So Scenic Coast has the most stunning designer series paper. If you've been watching my videos, I unboxed this because this was the first thing I wanted from the catalog. And look at that inspiration photo. That looks like almost exactly like some of the paper they created. So this sample was made by my friend Lois Cutler. And look how beautiful. And not to discount her beautiful work on this, but this is the designer series paper. This is a die cut. And then she just had to stamp and add some embellishment. So a very simple card to bring together. She said the hardest part was just having to make sure that the sunrise was like landing in a good place and cutting the DSP accordingly. But hopefully you can see the iridescent foil on the water there that just makes it look like it really is wet and the sun really is shining on it. Oh, and then the sequins kind of do the same thing. These are the Sunset Sparkle sequins. And again, the Sunset Coast bundle to do both the dies and the stamping. Just beautiful. This suite also comes with a Sunset Shimmer Vellum. You can see that, a little peek of that right here, which I think is really beautifully subtle. So yeah, moving right along. And by the way, I should have said this earlier on. Oh, and Lisa's here. Oh, Lisa, I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad I could see your comments. Although it's really funny. The comment came through as, "Hi, Hannah, hand pink waving." So I'm guessing that's an emoji. I love it. Keep sending emojis, and I'm going to keep seeing the way they're typed out. It's going to be funny. But please tell me in comments whether, again, you're watching live or on replay. I see there's a couple people here now live. But again, live or on replay, what your favorite suite is, what products you are finding yourself drawn to, what questions you have. I'd be happy to chat about all of that. It's fun for me to not only shop for myself, but like to shop vicariously through hearing what other people like too. And, be inspired by that, because sometimes other people notice things that I didn't notice or pay much attention to. And then of course we enable one another because we sell one another on it. And we just shop more. But this is the beautiful Ordinary Life suite. And I really like the pop of color on one side of the designer series paper, black and white design on the other. And this one I sort of have a sample for. So my friend Stasha Sloma, who I'm always worried I'm mispronouncing her name. I'm so sorry, Stasha, if that's incorrect. She made this card, which is a unique size and shape. for the swap that most of these cards are coming from. And you might recognize this is the Bloom Boutique Designer Series paper. This is the Lily of the Valley stamp set. But this, which I really love, this like notebook paper and then stamped with this like number and grid lines. This is from the Beautiful Ordinary Life bundle, or sorry, Bordered in Beauty bundle from the Beautiful Ordinary Life suite. So it kind of shows 3 suites in one, and we have the butterfly in color embellishments on there in the hydrangea hue. So lots being shown on that card. So thank you, Stasha. So let's see, how many more suites do we have? Maybe 3, 2, 3, I'm not sure. So the Velvet Meadow is gorgeous, not just on its own, but because there is velvet on the Designer Series paper. I just unboxed this the other day too, if you want to go back and check out that video. Here's some of the projects. Did I show you that on the last one? I might have missed that. Sorry if I didn't show you this page for Beautiful Ordinary Life. But for Velvet Meadow, I have this card by my friend Brenda Miller, and it's a floating, gosh, what's it called? It's a floating something card. But I don't know if you can tell. It's going to be hard to tell on camera, but it's just so fun to feel. So the DSP has these little white flowers. Can you see it there? Maybe catching in the light? That are in velvet. And other sheets have more, and it's easier to see. You can see one maybe right there, one right there. But really, really beautiful and really like fun to touch. It's just so satisfying. All right, so let's see. All right, last one. So we were down to just a couple more. The last one is Moonlit Flora, and I think this is really kind of different. So florals are not unique for Stampin' Up. There are lots of florals because we love them. We keep buying them, so they keep making them. And I joke they're going to run out of flowers one day, but they're not, because they just keep, going back and doing more roses or daffodils or whatever. But this, well, I guess the name is Moonlit, not Moody, but it is. It's moody and it's whimsical, and there's something like, I don't know, it reminds me of like a fairy tale forest at night or something like that. And here's the other page. I particularly love this sample and all those layers. And this one I have a sample for as well. So this was by Sue Holman. And here it is, showing some of that Designer Series paper, the Moonlit Floor Designer Series paper. And I believe the sentiment is from a different set, but really it's showing off, just the colors and that DSP. Let's see, it might say here. The sentiment is from the Lily of the Valley set. So thank you, Sue, for writing that down for us. And Shimmering Dots embellishments. I can't remember if those are new or not, but perhaps. So yeah. So I think those are the new products to show with that. So that is all of the suites. Which one's your favorite? Mine is Scenic Coast. Tell me which one yours is. So then starting on page 36, we get into the bundles in the catalog. And bundles are important because what is meant by bundle is that 2 products are put together, a stamp set and a tool, usually either dies or a punch, that are going to cut out the stamps. And they're both 10% off. So that's why it's important. So don't buy them separately. If they come in a bundle, buy them together and save that 10% on both. That adds up. But this page 36 is talking about that impressions plate, which is like a silicone plate that goes in your Stampin' Die Cut and Emboss machine with the other parts, the other plates that come with the machine. And you're using it on 2 bundles, either this Opulent Oasis bundle for this die right here. You can tell which dies use the impression plate because they show the detail as opposed to just showing in gray to show that they're cutting out the outside. This one's cutting out the outside, but then also embossing all that detail in the middle. And Phrases and Frames, that's the one I was trying to think of earlier when I was showing you the first card. Let me go back to that. This one here. This is a frame, an impression die frame from Phrases and Frames. So those 2 are going to use the impressions plate. And then the rest of these bundles, again, are all going to be 10% off. So here you can start to see things bigger, the stamp set and the dies that go with them. So So lots and lots of these because it goes on for, let's see, till page 42. One thing I wanted to point out is usually when products carry over from their first catalog they were released in to future publications, they're not kept in bundle form. So if you didn't buy them when they were first released in that first calendar period, you still get them, but you can only get them separately, so you're not getting 10% off. Well, Stampin' Up! Was good to us. They kept, at the very least, I don't know if they kept all of them, but they kept the Party Dies bundled. And this is significant because this is the most expensive bundle I know I've ever seen. It's $125. But you get these giant banner dies. Is that what they're called? I don't know if that's what they're called on their own, but they create banners. So they're dies to create banners and then dies to create the alphabet. And they're large letters because it's like you would put one letter inside each flag on the banner, potentially. You can also use them on card fronts for small words like hi, or I guess if you made a really big card. And you can use them in scrapbooking too. Again, at least for like medium words, like maybe like happy. But anyway, I thought that was very generous that Stampin' Up! Kept the bundles so we could save 10% and only pay $125, which is a lot. Oh, I know, it's still a lot. All right, page 43. If you've been wondering and waiting, here it is. So we used to have something called the Stamparatus that would allow you to always stamp in the same place by positioning the stamp on this like machine, I guess tool, that would, keep it landing in the same place. So if you were creating multiples, or if you weren't sure if it was going to stamp perfectly and wanted to be able to like re-ink and stamp again to get full coverage or something like that, it was awesome. And that went away, and now there's something new back to fulfill those same purposes, and it's the Stampin' Positioner. And there's also Stampin' Positioner grid paper to use with it. But it's this great tool that, again, like allows you to put down a piece of paper on the base, put the stamp on this clear plate. There's a large clear plate and then this small kind of like long rectangle sized plate. And with these magnets, you hold down your paper and you're just going to be able to stamp in the exact same place every time. It's also great for classes if you're a demonstrator because it just keeps things like an assembly line. It's kind of foolproof for maybe, again, people who are new or rushing or whatever the case may be. So that's on page 43. And then on page 44, we get into stamp sets. So this is where you're going to see the stamp sets the largest you'll see them. And so we have a couple like almost like full card front size stamps here, not quite background stamps, but a sentiment and a very large focal image. And then it goes into the other stamp sets. What you'll notice along the bottom here, I found this a little confusing at first, is it's showing you like the number 1 in a box, and it's saying that's the number of stamps in a set. Obviously on this page, it's true. There's only 1 stamp in the set. But starting on the next page, you'll still see 1 number of stamps in the set, but it's really just a key. So it's just showing you that like when it has 11 in the box here, that means there's 11 stamps in this set. And then it's saying that all these stamp sets artwork is shown at 50 to 60% of actual size. Again, you can see them bigger online. But you'll also notice that you'll have this pink N. This is one of my favorite icons in the catalog that shows you everything new. So if you're like, I don't know if I might already have this, or I don't know if I've seen this before, if it has the pink N, it's new to this publication. You'll also see, let me find a good example. So you'll also see these little icons that'll tell you if something is part of a bundle so that you don't accidentally buy it without its tool if you want it, or without saving that 10% if you are going to get both. And it'll also show you if it's part of a suite, because maybe you want to see the paper and embellishments and other things that coordinate with that. So that's really helpful. It also helps you, like if you're like, I think I've seen this before, even though it's saying it's new, it's probably because you saw it earlier in the catalog in either the bundle section or the suite section. Because again, it shows up multiple places. All right, let me see if there were any stamps I wanted to particularly point out. Yes, so on page 53, the Crafted with Care stamp set is the Angel Policy stamp set. And if you're not familiar with what that is, it's the policy that allows you to sell projects made with Stampin' Up! Images, just as long as you have the C for copyright Stampin' Up! And so you'll see there's a couple sizes of that stamp in this set, but there's lots of other things too. Like if you already have that, or if you're not going to be selling your projects and you don't need that, this says like inked with love and enjoy this inky creation, and happy mail, good vibes, sunshine, love, care, because they're sending. So you might be like sending happy mail, sending good vibes, sending sunshine, sending love, sending care, handmade, crafted, inked, for you, by. And it has this little like banner where you could like sign your name, just like Hallmark cards are stamped on the back. Sign your cards that you made them. So I think that's a great set. And look at some of the samples with it. Like that is nothing to do with the copyright. It's just a beautiful card that says sending sunshine and good vibes love. Or this handmade for you tag on this cute little box. So yeah, lots of options with that, but also necessary if you want to sell. I see that Lisa loves Scenic Coast too. Lisa's a friend of mine from Florida, so I wonder if that feels like home. Again, please tell me your favorites in comments as you're watching this. All right, more stamp sets. The last one I want to point out to you, there's so many I could point out to you, but the last one I'm going to point out to you is on page 56. And this is the Untouched Nature stamp set. And this is an important one to notice the number of stamps, 6, because it kind of looks like one big background stamp. And certainly that's how it's been used in, maybe some of these samples, but it's actually 6 different pieces. So you can build your own scene and create your own landscape. And so I thought that was really neat. But again, there's so many there. So take a look and tell me your favorites and we can talk about them. All right, then you have the index essentially for the dies starting on page 58. So these are just the dies, but again, it's going to let you know if it's part of a bundle or part of a suite so you don't miss out. And so there's several pages of that through page 60. Then on page 61, we have embossing folders and punches. So there's just 2 new embossing folders, the Fern and Flora, which is from the Moonlit Flora suite, and then the Floral Spray, which is from the Lily of the Valley suite. Gosh, let me make sure I got that right. Let me double check myself here. Yes, and am I 2 for 2? Yes, okay, I know my new catalog. Good. Not that I haven't or won't make other mistakes, but I got those. But sometimes you find things back here that you haven't found or at least noticed in other parts of the catalog. So this is Story Keeping Hybrid Embossing Folder. So this is an embossing folder, which you can see here, which is going to emboss these different words. And then it's also dies. And you're going to have one die that's going to cut all the words out. And then you have another die that creates these coordinating images like a little house, music notes, butterfly, camera, heart, looks like a star and an arrow. And so that's something you might have missed. And then we've got punches, and there are 2 new punches, this Olive Flutter Butterfly punch, and then the Rounded Rectangle punch. And that's both of those part of bundles. But then there's some really good basics here, like the whole punch assortment, the 3 banners, the circle dies, and punches, and there are 4. So different sizes, so don't miss that too, even though it's only showing you 1. So that's page 61. Then on page 62, we get to my favorite product. Any guesses what it is? If you know me, you know. Say it with me. Paper. Specifically designer series paper. If you said that first, bonus points because you were most accurate. So yes. And the first paper I wanted to point out here is this. Gosh, what is it called? Now I'm not gonna see. Oh, okay. I got confused because I saw Mix. There's a paper with the name Mix in it. It's not this one. We'll get to it. This is just kind of the cover page for the designer series paper. So here I'm all excited that I know my catalog and then I made a mistake. Pride goeth before a fall. But page 63 starts the different designer series papers. Oh, and this is it. Okay. Yes, I think. I hope. Let me look it up on my phone because I have these notes of things I wanted to share with you. Yes. Okay. So this is it. The Paper Medley Mix-In Designer Series paper. So this was created, and that is what it is. It does say it there in the fine print. I just doubted myself. Okay. So the Paper Medley Mix-In Designer Series paper, each page in that coordinates with a few different suite collections and scrapbook workshop kits. And there's actually going to be a craft class starting. You actually could start ordering it today. The class will air live on May 21st, but it's available afterwards as well to watch on replay. And it's going to be called the Paper Mixing Craft Class. It's going to feature this Paper Medley Mix-In DSP and teach some techniques about using DSP, which I'm really excited about because I love using paper. I feel like my business should be called Paper Up rather than Stampin' Up because I do stamp, but not as much as I paper. The paper is the star for me. So anyway, I wanted to point that out because that's a little different. Stampin' Up has done a little bit with that before, but they're certainly doing more now with highlighting it in the craft class online this month. And then let's see, I've unboxed these 2 papers, the Artisan Sketched Garden and the Waterside Retreat. If you want to go back and watch my videos, here's a card that Chris Mandra, another demo friend of mine, made with the Artisan Sketched Garden. So it's all black and white designs, and you can just add pops of color, which I think is really, I don't know, it's just kind of my style. It's also my dress style. I mean, I'm wearing my Stampin' Up shirt, but actually it's the same way, black with pops of color. So anyway, so let's see, what other DSP have I unboxed? I've unboxed the Velvet Meadow, which I think I mentioned, and the Scenic Coast. So you can go back and check out those videos. But on page 66, I wanted to show a couple things that, again, you might miss. So this is impossible to see. Well, there you go. Maybe you can see it a little better. And you, again, could see it better online and best in person. But this is the Luxe White Specialty DSP. It's 6 sheets, 2 each of 3 double-sided designs. It's white and white foil. That's why it's so hard to see. But this is part of the Valley and Bloom suite. And again, you might have missed that. But here it lets you know, like, it isn't a suite. And another thing I wanted to mention are some new things about the Color Collection DSP. This is called Painted Patterns, and it comes in all 4 color collections. So the subtles, brights, regals, and neutrals. It's more expensive than you might be familiar with. It's $19, and that's because it's 12 by 12. It used to be 6 by 6. Now it's 12 by 12. And that's, I think, my guess is to allow it to not just work well for cards, but for scrapbooking as well. And then another new thing is we only have the 2026 to 2028 in color pack. And that's also $19. And you might think, but there's only 5 in colors rather than like the 10 colors that are in each color collection. But you get double of each color. So it's still 20 sheets, but instead of 2 each of the 10 colors, it's 4 each of the 5 colors. I think this is a misprint because this says 2 each of 2 double-sided designs, but it's still 20 sheets. So I don't think that's quite right unless I'm misunderstanding that. So anyway, same number of sheets, just more of each color because there's half as many colors. But you'll notice we don't have it for the 2025 to 2027 in colors that are carried over to this year. Instead, we have it in the basics, which I think I heard someone from Stampin' Up say they've never done this before. They've certainly not done it to my memory in my time with Stampin' Up. It's only $13 because there's only 12 sheets in this pack because there's only 3 colors, basic beige, basic black, and very vanilla. So interesting. Just something a little different to pay attention to. I also just remembered one thing I wanted to go back and mention. The one page I didn't show you of DSP is page 64. And I wanted to show these because these are the 3 suites that have scrapbooking workshop kits. And so these are the 3 DSP packs that you can buy just as the DSP pack, which is $13 in the case of the first 2, $17 in the case of this one, because this is specialty paper. This is the one that has the gold, the Bloom Boutique. Or you can spend $17 for the first 2 or $21 for the last one to add on the sticker sheet. So you're essentially paying, what, $5 more. $17.50 or $21.50. So you're spending $4.50 more to add on that sticker sheet. And if you get the scrapbooking workshop kits, you get that sticker sheet plus some others. So just be mindful, like unless you're wanting doubles of things, what you order, which way you do it. The scrapbooking workshop kit is like other kits, just kind of like all ready to go with instructions, but buying things a la carte, like just the DSP and, you know, stamp sets and things like that, you're going to get more, but be more on your own for putting it together, unless you go online and follow people like me who can give you some ideas and instructions. All right, page 67, and we're doing well on time. I think we're going to probably even finish early. Page 67 has a lot of returning paper, just like core products like envelopes. But there's some new things here too. So we have cellophane bags back, which are great for treat packaging. The scalloped window box is also great for treat packaging. I mentioned the Sunset Shimmer Vellum when we were going through, because as you can see here, that's again part of a suite, the Scenic Coast suite, my favorite. I think I forgot to mention the Velveteen assortment. Can you guess which suite that it's a part of? Velvet Meadow. Yes, you're right. You've got the 2-tone cardstock assortment packs. That's not what they're called, but that's what I'm calling them. And again, there's one for each of the scrapbook kits or scrapbook, because not only are there scrapbook kits for those 3 suites, but there's also, I'm trying to see what they call them. They don't have a name for it, but like for the Beautiful Ordinary Life, there's the Extraordinary Life scrapbook kit, and this shows you everything that comes in that and the 3 2-page spreads that it makes. But on the page before, And this is, by the way, these are the pages behind the suite page. So we just didn't look at these because we'd already seen them previewed in the step-by-step crafting section, that first section of the catalog. But there's also the a la carte way of doing it. That's what I was just talking about. Like you could just buy the two-tone paper assortment pack, buy the DSP with it or without the sticker sheet, buy the stamp set, and kind of do your own thing with it. So you can buy just like all the two-tone cardstock in all the colors if you want. But if you just want the colors that are going to go with the suite or with the scrapbook products for that suite, then this is where you find them on page 67. And then the one thing I don't think we've seen anywhere yet is the 2026 to 2028 in color pearlized specialty paper. So again, sometimes in these indexes, look closely, look for those pink ends for new, and see what you might have missed or might not have already shown up elsewhere in the catalog. All right. A few more things to show you. There's lots I'm not showing you. So, get your hard copy catalog, get the PDF for free on the website. Just go and look at all the new product on the website. There's lots to explore. But on page 70, just when you thought we'd seen enough designer series paper, there's more. I think this is the most designer series paper I've ever seen in a publication, which I'm thrilled about. And I think it's all like so good. I think it's one of the best, not just the biggest, but one of the best DSP offerings I've ever seen. So again, page 70, this is the Everyday Essentials Mix and Match Designer Series paper. And again, it's an eclectic mix of different designs that could go with different things throughout the catalog rather than just going with a particular suite. So I wanted to point that out. This is on the Mix and Match page with all those products that we saw previewed earlier and more. And then on page 71, there's lots of memory keeping product. Again, look for the new things. So like one thing I hadn't noticed till I watched Stampin' Up's video today, which by the way, if you think my hour, not even quite, I think hour that will be is long, it was like an hour and a half or an hour and 45 minutes, but go check it out if you want. It's on Sarah Douglas, our CEO's Facebook page, and it was every new product from the new catalog, from the online exclusives, which we still have to talk about. So maybe I will go an hour. They showed them all. So actually, I don't know how they did all that in that amount of time, because I'm doing less in less time, but still. The ratio is that they win on a race. But they mentioned these 6x8 memory protectors. It's 10 pages of just like the fully clear page. You get a couple of these in the variety pack, but then you also get the ones that are like segmented into different photo sections. So if you just want the blank pages to do some like 6x8 scrapbooking and you have the 6x8 album here, that's now available. Some other things new on this page are the basic black hybrid Stampin' Pad. So the reason this is so exciting is because we've had Memento black ink, which I can never remember which is which. I think that one is best for, I don't remember which. It's either best for the Stampin' blends and the alcohol that's in those markers, or watercoloring, but not both. And then we have StazOn black ink, which is good for the other one. Again, I can never remember which is which. So not only do we now have one stamp pad that will do 2-in-1, hence hybrid, I don't have to try to remember which is which. This will work with both Stampin' blends and watercoloring. And of course, we have the refill here for it as well. Now, I will say if you get this, it is a very tight lid. I've seen it, I've heard about it. Pardon me, I've used it. And it's that way on purpose because it needs to have that air seal to keep the ink from drying. But the best way to open it is like a book. So don't try to just like lift the lid straight off the top like you might on other ink pads. Don't try to open it from, like if my hands are the ink pads, that's about, the size and shape. It's a rectangle that's like shorter on one, or I guess two ends, top and bottom, and then longer on the sides. Don't try to open it on the short side or the top and the bottom. Open it like a book from that long side, and that's the ticket. Then there's also these white gel pens, which people are really excited about, which I just haven't gotten yet, but I do plan to. You get 2 of them in the pack, and I think there's a lot of cool like details and things you can do with those, or even journaling on darker color cardstocks and things like that for scrapbooking. So that's exciting. It reminds me of middle school because gel pens were like a very big fad when I was in middle school, and so we all had them then. All right, on page 72, we have all of the embellishments. So again, we saw like a few on that quick and easy section of the catalog early on, but here they all are. And again, when I say all, it's all the new ones and a few like staples that are carried over, but there's more that have carried over that you can find in the online store. But of the new ones, what's your favorite? I'll find you mine. There's a lot that I like. I don't know that this is a favorite, but I will point this out because most of these are, either different like threads, twine, or ribbon, or like bling, like rhinestones and dots and things like that. But look at this one. This is the Floral Flight Accents. It's one sheet of pre-cut designs in black, and it is black through and through. So like you can't flip it over and have it be white on the backside, which is nice. It's fully black. And you get these different like flowers and leaves and butterflies. So I think that's really unique. All right. We have basics I'm skipping over, like adhesives. But again, a lot of those things are in here. And if you can't find something, check the online store. It's probably there again if it's a staple or a core supply. On page 76, here's another hidden thing. This might be the most hidden thing in the catalog. So these are the water and dotted lines decorative masks. And the special thing about these, actually, it does say this here. I was going to say it doesn't, but it does, and it should. So I'm glad. These are 12 by 12. So these are the size of a sheet of DSP. They're huge. And hopefully you can see what they create. This one kind of looks like water. And then this one, oh gosh, that's really hard to see because it's light color. But it's what it sounds like, dotted lines. So they're well named. Water and dotted lines decorative masks. They're essentially stencils. And you get, again, both of those in the pack. All right, let me get my catalog unfolded here and see what else I wanted to show you. A few more things, and then we're going to talk some things that aren't in the catalog and then get to prizes. So page 79 is all about the new in colors, which again, we saw previewed at the beginning. I already told you what they are. Which one's your favorite? I will tell you. So I always like colors that fill gaps in our core collections. So like we don't have a kind of subtle orange in our core collection. So I really like crisp cantaloupe for that. I want to get golden glow in those shimmer brushes because I want to have essentially a gold Wink of Stella because the usual like regular Wink of Stella is silver. So I'll have both. I will say this has more color than Wink of Stella. Wink of Stella is like clear with silver shimmer. This is like the golden glow color with gold shimmer. And so it's going to be more saturated in that way. But I think that could be good. I also really like Barely Blush, which you really can barely see here. I mean, it just blends in with the white. But in person, you do get a bit more pink from that. So yeah, I mean, there's none that I don't like. And again, I love how they go together and you get that full spectrum of the rainbow. So page 79 just shows you all the different types of products that we have in the in colors. And it talks more about the ink pad. So I'll go ahead and talk about that now. So I mentioned how the new basic black hybrid ink is a little different. The case is a little different. Well, the new 2026 to 2028 in color ink pads are also different and in better ways, in a couple significant ways. So one, they're made out of felt, not foam. And that is like the best in the business, seemingly. It does mean that you do have to like push a little bit more when you stamp. So we're used to telling ourselves and our customers, if we're demonstrators, to stamp very lightly, put the stamp in the ink very lightly because the foam obviously like will sink with the stamp with pressure. And then you get lots of extra ink all over your block and all over your hands and all over everything. But with the felt, you do have to like tap a few times with maybe a little more pressure to get full ink coverage on the stamp. And then these are magnetic. That's why we have these little lightning bolts. No, they're not going to shock you. They're just magnetic. So they're going to stick to one another. The lids are going to stick to the base. So like when you take the lid off, because it's not hinged like our current stamp pads that swing and are sometimes confusing. Like, how do I open them? Do I push? Do I pull? Do I flip? What? The lid just fully comes off. But if you don't want to have the lid get separated, the sides, I'm sorry, I don't have them to show you, but the sides magnetize together so that then you can still have like ink pad face up and like an ink well face up if you're wanting to do some coloring techniques where you transfer ink in there and maybe use like a water painter or a blender brush. Sorry, not a blender brush. Well, you could. Blender pen. But anyway, so they magnetize the side, but then also like the top of the lid that you took off the ink pad can go on the bottom. It would actually be like this with the well face down. So kind of like this. Anyway, they magnetize. That's the point, which is really, really cool for, again, storage and just use while you're crafting. So that's exciting. And all of the ink pads that Stampin' Up! Sells will be magnetized by this time next year. So May 2027. But for now, it's just the 2026 to 2028 in colors. And if you're like worried because you have all the ink pads and you're like, I don't want to replace them all, you don't have to. Stampin' Up! Even like came out and said, and granted, this is their business, so they didn't have to do this, but they said like, don't feel like you have to buy the new magnetic ink pads right away when they make the transition. Like you can still keep using the ones you have for as long as they work well for you. But like Lisa's saying, she's so excited to have the magnetic lid stamp pads. They're the best. Yes. If you used Close to My Heart, they had this design. And so I think that's why Stampin' Up! Is now able to produce this design, because they inherited some of Close to My Heart when that company closed. And so now we get to have the best in the business ink pad design. And again, the felt, which has some good benefits, that firm felt. It says it makes inking and re-inking a breeze. So yes, that's very exciting. So from there, we get into the different color collections. I just love looking at this page. Look at all the beautiful colors. And you've got the new and returning in colors down here. There's the returning. These are the new. And then we're almost through the catalog. So page 80 to 81 that shows you all the colors. It shows you how to buy products individually in the colors. So like a full pack of cardstock in just one color. The ink pad just in each color separately. The ink refill just in each color separately. But you can also bundle things, again, and you're going to save 10% if you do. So this is an exception to the stamp and tool bundles, but they are still bundles. They are still 10% off. So you can get the ink pad bundles in the different color collections. You can get the ink refill bundles in the color collections. You can also get cardstock assortments, so that you get just a couple sheets of each color rather than 20 sheets of just the one color. And so that can be good 24 sheets of just the one color, 20 when you're getting 2 of each of the 10 colors in a collection. Or with the in colors, again, it's still 20 sheets because it's the same price. But in that case, you get 4 each of the 5 colors. So anyway, the assortments are a great way to go if you're just starting out or you're not kind of sure which colors you're going to want the most of, need the most of in your crafting. So page 82 is really helpful for bundles and also just some of the basics, like your basic white cardstock, your basic black cardstock, things like that. And then you get to the actual index. Again, I've been talking about indexes all along because we had the bundle section and the die section and the stamp section, but this is the true index where you can look up everything by category, look up things by name. I just earlier tonight was looking up a stamp set, and so I just went to the back here because it's alphabetical and then it tells me what page to go to, and that's really helpful. All right, so we're going to get into prizes here in a minute, and I am going to go the full hour. I should have known. But some prizes you just get from Stampin' Up. I don't even have to add things on, although I'm going to, but Stampin' Up gives you prizes in the form of rewards. And so I shouldn't put rewards in air quotes. I should put prizes in air quotes because it is actually called rewards. I'm just calling it prizes. But Stampin' Rewards is basically 10% back for future purchases when you spend at least 20. So that's a pretty low threshold. In fact, with the cost of things these days, it's pretty hard to only spend, I guess, $19 and spend less than 20. But once you get to $20, you're going to get 10% back in Stampin' Rewards to use on anything you want on future purchases. And there is no like sign up or membership fee or anything like that. You just have to have an online account, which just means an email and a password, just like anywhere else you shop online. And so definitely make sure you're getting and using your rewards, because why not get 10% basically free product back? And then on page 87, so it's page 86, page 87 talks about being a demonstrator and all the benefits and what we can do for you as demonstrators and what could benefit you to be a demonstrator. And it's always the best deal to, and I know these are intimidating words, but to join and you do that by buying a starter kit. And I put these in air quotes because, like, what are you joining? It doesn't have to be anything, although I do think the best part of being a demonstrator is the community, but you can just do it on your own. What are you starting? Nothing. If you don't want to, you don't have to start a business. You can just get the benefits of the discount, the early access. Again, if you're interested in the community, which I do think is the best part. And so it's $99. You get free shipping. You, of course, have to pay the tax because there's no such thing as avoiding tax, but $99 free shipping, and you get $125 worth of product of your choice. So right there, you're essentially getting the demonstrator discount by getting an additional like 25% of product free. And the demonstrator discount starts at 20% and goes up to 25% depending on your spending and sales. But the month of May, they're doing even extra. Stampin' Up! Is offering more. So in addition to the $125 of product of your choice, you have 2 options. Option 1, you can get the new 2026 to 2028 in color ink pads in that new awesome magnetic felt design free. And that's a $63 value. So that would take your value up to $188 in product that you're only spending $99 for. Again, plus you're getting the free shipping, plus you get some other things like business supplies, which again, you never have to use if you don't want to. So it's really at least $188 value. The other option, if you don't want the in color ink pads, or if you, I don't know, already bought them earlier today, is that you can add an additional 35% of product of your choice. And so that would be $160 value. So it's a little less value, but more freedom of choice. So the choice is yours. And if you have questions about becoming a demonstrator, please ask, especially if you feel like this is too good to be true, because it's not. And I was just thinking the other day, like so many things in life are like, and I've fallen for them. I've fallen for have a free vacation. I've fallen for your renovation will only cost this much and take this long. So I've fallen for the too goods to be true, but Stampin' Up! Demonstratorship is not one of them. It really is not too good to be true. It just is true and good. So I think that's all I have to share from the catalog with you. But like I said, not everything that's new is in the catalog. So today we also had the new online exclusives release, and I'm going to get to those in a minute. We also had the new Kids Collection release. I showed you the Secret Scenes sneak peek in the catalog, but there was also one called Pretty Party. I don't remember if I mentioned that or not. We had the Product of the Month release, which I mentioned. So I guess that's also, let me go back to online exclusives. If you can't tell, I love Stampin' Up. There have been a lot of products I've loved over the years. My absolute favorite of all time came in the May online exclusives, which as a demonstrator, I had access to at least a month ago. But as of today, you have access to it too if you live in the US. And unfortunately, if you don't live in the US, you don't have access because of copyright. And that's not Stampin' Up's fault. That's whoever owns the copyright's fault. But we got a suite here in the US called the Silly Old Bear Suite. Does that make you think of any character that you beloved maybe as a child or as an adult who's young at heart? It's Winnie the Pooh and Friends. Disney and Stampin' Up, my two favorite things, came together in the Silly Old Bear Suite, and I love it. So I got it, and I made this card for that swap that I got all those swaps from that I was showing you throughout the night. So here's what's being showcased here. Not only the stamp set that stamps the characters, and more than just the ones you're seeing here. I've already unboxed this, so you can go back and watch that video if you want to see it all. Another stamp set that has this and more in terms of sentiments, but I love this one. Sometimes when you go looking for happiness, happiness finds you. There are dies, which is the one thing I didn't get because I couldn't afford it, but maybe someday I'll go back and get it. I missed the bundle price, so I didn't take my own advice, but sometimes budget rules, right? So these are all Fussy Cat. So this was a labor of love for sure. But probably my favorite thing from the whole suite is the embossing folder. So can you see, this is the 100 Acre Wood. You've got the compass rose here, and this embossing folder has all the characters. So look, there's Pooh. There's Kanga and Roo. There's Rabbit. If we had the whole folder, because this is just a small piece of it, it's a huge folder, you'd find all the characters and their little homes on there. It's absolutely adorable. There's designer series paper as well, which is not showcased here, but again, check out my unboxing video to see that or go shop. This also shows all the new ink colors. So this is the Hydrangea Hue, Peaceful Pine. Can you say them with me? Golden Glow, Crisp Cantaloupe, and Barely Blush. And all of these characters and the map are done in the two-tone cardstock. So that's why after I embossed this, I was able to do a little light sanding and really reveal the embossing folder design in white because the two-tone cardstock has a white core. Also, some of these characters are done like on the light side of the two-tone cardstock. So I think all but Piglet, because Piglet's on the dark side of Barely Blush because the light sides are really light. But this is the light side of Golden Glow, Crisp Cantaloupe, Hydrangea Hue, and Peaceful Pine. So just to create a little bit more of a pastel look. But I just love these guys. I love it so much. And this was another card that I made with my friend Lisa Yamamoto this weekend. So another one of the stamps, another one of the sentiments. This is the embossing folder. It's not on two-tone cardstock, so we didn't sand it. So again, especially in this light, it's going to be hard to see, but there, you can see the texture. And actually, I altered her design a little bit because this was a beautiful central focal point, but it was covering up the embossing folder, which I just couldn't bring myself to do, especially because, again, you're probably not going to be able to see this, but like that's Winnie the Pooh right there. That's Piglet right there. And of course, those are the ones that are here, and so I just couldn't cover them up, so I had to slide it over. So anyway, that and more is in the May online exclusive, so make sure you check that out too. All right, let me see what I've forgotten before we talk prizes. We have 2 minutes. Not that it's going to cut me off at 9 o'clock, but it's late, and I thought I was out of energy. I've been feeling very tired all day, but this got me going, so thanks. Let's see. I think that was everything I wanted to mention. So now let me just talk prizes. So I'm going to do the same thing that I have been doing for many catalog launches now, and I'm going to reward your participation and your inviting others to participate. So I am offering one of the new embellishments, let me go back to that page. So it can be any of the new embellishments, which you can find on page 72. Not all of these are new, although if you pick any of them, it's fine. But the new embellishments, of course, would be the ones with the pink N symbol. So any of these new embellishments, you can win if you comment, so I know you watched, and then invite others to watch. And they would need to comment that they watched and tell me that you're the one who invited them so that you can get the credit. But then you're each entered in a separate drawing. So it's not creating competition for you to invite more people. The inviters will be in one drawing and the invitees will be in another drawing. Now, if you're an invitee, someone referred you to watch this video and to comment that you did and that they invited you, and you also want to enter, you can invite more people, and then you're entered as an invitee and an inviter. So in that case, it could become competition. But the idea is the more the merrier. The more people you invite who participate, the more chances you have to win. Because that's helpful to me and hopefully fun for them. And so I want to reward that. So you, as the winner, as an inviter from that drawing, will get to choose a new embellishment from the new catalog. And then you, as the winner of the invitee drawing, will get to choose a new embellishment as well. So hopefully that makes sense. If not, comment and ask me questions. Lisa loves Winnie the Pooh. I know, so cute. Winnie the Pooh, not my card, although thank you. So yes, so that's my prize. So again, please reach out if you have questions. Sorry for the alarm that just went off. That's a medication reminder. So I do probably need to go and take care of myself, but I so appreciate you watching, whether you were live or on replay. Lisa, thanks for making it. I'm guessing that means you got home from your trip. I hope it was wonderful. And I look forward to the next time we can connect. But I just love to connect with everyone who comes by. So again, please comment and I'll chat with you. Like this video wherever you found it if you did. And the most helpful thing you can do, not just for me, but for you this time because of prizes, is to follow, subscribe, and share with others who might be interested so you don't miss future opportunities and you can take advantage, again, of my prize opportunity for this catalog launch. By the way, you have to the end of the month, so until May 31st, for my prizes, as well as some of the things we talked about from Stampin' Up, like the starter kit offer that goes through the end of the month as well. So I wish you all the best. Thank you for your support. Enjoy all of the new fun things. I'd love to see what you make with them as you